What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Comment Riders. This is a Kamen Rider review podcast. Today on the show, we're going to talk about Kamen Rider Gavv, episode 22. I'm your host, Josh Meek, the Uber Geek, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Toby Tobes. How's it going, Toby?
Pretty good, Josh. We're riding high off a Super Bowl victory over here.
Yeah, post Super Bowl. I have things to tell you about the Super Bowl, Toby.
Oh, please do.
Well, first of all, a quick one. I placed my first sports bet for the Super Bowl. Are you proud of me?
So I'm going to say no until you tell me which promo you took as a brand new user for the Super Bowl.
Okay, so I didn't really know about that, really. And I realized after I signed up that I probably should have looked for like promo codes and stuff. But because I signed up and I placed a $5 bet, I still got like $200 in bonus bets or something. So like in $25 increments. So I had to place a bunch of bonus bets today that were going to expire by like next week on just random things because it was free money. So because I placed a $5 bet on the freaking Super Bowl, I now have like bets on the Daytona 500 and bets on like the LA Lakers game tonight and stuff. It's ridiculous.
This is the first step into the
Yeah.
slow decline of your finances.
It won't be because I don't like losing is so terrible. I don't think I ever want to like do it really for like if it was $25 for real, like real money that I could cash out, I don't think I could ever bring myself to clicking like a bet on that.
Okay, so we're gonna play a game here. And I wanna stress that gambling is a horrible addiction. I know it runs in the addictive gene runs in my family for many things. And I know I have a gambling addiction, so to speak. I'm gonna say that it's my grandmother's fault who taught me how to play dice when I was like 3 or 4.
Probably,
But that's
yeah.
irrelevant to the story. So I know gambling is a horrible thing. I'm not telling anyone to gamble. But I have a question for you now. You did the $5 thing for fun. I'll assume
Yeah.
someone talked you into it, or
No, I did it. I did it mostly to talk about it on the show here because I wanted to talk about my experience.
Okay, so you're slowly going down the rabbit hole. So with betting, you have all the 8 free bets or whatever.
Yeah.
So if you have money in your account, if like one of these 8 bets win, 7 of the bets win, are you going to fuck around with that money, or are you taking that money back out and calling this a one-time and done experience?
I don't know. It'll be very tempting to take the money out because then it's just free $25 or whatever, right? Like it's like free whatever hits. Most of the bets I placed are like very safe ones, so I'm not gonna like make too much back. Like I'm gonna like make money, but not that much money. I would say like I placed a bet for the Daytona 500 winner, and like if that hits, that's like a few $100s. I think is what that one comes back as.
Yeah, it's probably plus 600, some nonsense odds. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what all that really means, to be honest with you. But I'm cashing that out instantly if that hits. Like if I end up at the end of this and there's like $10 in the account or something, which is what I have right now after winning my bet for the Super Bowl, I have like $10. I might leave it in there and like bet it again at the next Super Bowl or something. But if I actually end up making like substantial actual real money from these like fake money bets, then I'm taking it out.
That's very responsible of you, and I'm proud of you.
Because you know what? Because video games cost money, and I like those better than betting, I think, is where I'm at.
That's probably the smartest way to do it. Like there's a lot of things I like more than when I bet, but it's so ingrained in my brain that I just have to bet first, and then I just wonder where my money went.
I 100% like, you know, we've talked about betting before, and you've like explained it to me, kind of like sort of.
So we have, but I want to clarify that when I talked to Josh about it, I showed him.
It's in a cautionary tale. It's type of like you've always told me not to do it, and then I'm here doing it. Is that what you're saying?
It's that, but it wasn't like it was a fun haha conversation. It was like, Josh, I'm considered VIP at a casino, and then I showed Josh specifications of how this happened, and I was like, don't ever do this.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna get into that. I was just gonna say that you've explained the mechanics of it to me before. And even me knowing from like you explaining a little bit of like the mechanics and stuff of how it all works, and like I knew going in from talking to you that like in my head before our conversation the last time was like, I thought you just bet like who's gonna win, right? Like, oh, I want the Eagles to win, or I want the the Chiefs to win. And then you explain, and I see that in the app of like you can bet on every little minutia about the game that you possibly could want. Like it's insane how tiny and granular that you can get, and you can have like a zillion bets on like a single game for the various different outcomes and stuff.
So
And that I see how people fall down that hole like so easily.
like, at least to that point, if you were looking at the Super Bowl, they lean into, like, every possible thing that could happen in the Super Bowl, and you get a lot of options. Like, that is not the normal day to day for all sports.
Oh, okay, okay.
But, like,
Got
because
it.
before that's like, the
It's still
sportsbook was
pretty
a big
deep
thing.
though, right? Like,
It's
because I was looking at the like, again, the NBA games for today. You can do, like, how many points a player gets and how many rebounds and,
yeah.
all that stuff.
But, yes, like, I mean, the even before, like, the sportsbook things were a big thing, like, prop sheets for the Super Bowl were always a thing people did. And that's basically people just saying like, okay, this person passes this many yards, this person does this. Heads or tails on the coin flip, which team wants the ball first? And then it gets extra granular. It's just like an easy event where people care. Like, I mean, it would work for anything. But it's just people care more because it's the Super Bowl. And everyone wants to gamble in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was like we went to, like, a little Super Bowl party thing, and I bet on the Eagles, and that means I won. But it was fun too because it was, like, the opposite of what most of the people at the little party were rooting for. So I got to sit there and be, like, very smug about how the game was going. So that part was fun. But yeah, it was very overwhelming. I got in the app, Toby, and I didn't even know like what to click on to make it happen. Like I had to do a lot of like staring at it and some googling to figure out what I even had to click on to say like I want to say the Eagles win, and I
That's
had to
called
figure
the
that
money
out.
line.
Yeah, I think I ended up betting the spread, and I learned the difference between those two things. Unfortunately,
Well, so like this is such a weird talk for a podcast. Like it's not like that's not specifically to gambling. But yeah, like the Super Bowl game, the Eagles were getting a point and a half, which means like they basically effectively start the game with the score 1.5 to 0.
right?
So like that's not game is not the best. It's not like the best outlier of like how to learn the differences because
Yeah,
it's effectively almost the same bet.
and that's why I ended up just picking that one because it was like, yeah, it's basically the same thing. I'll go with this. Don't gamble, kids, because it's crazy. It's crazy out there. It was just mostly just for the experience that I could talk about it here, but it was a weird, crazy thing. And I made $4.67 or 77 cents or something like that. I put $5 in and got 9.77 out.
They got their juice. They got their juice, man. They got their juice. The
Yeah, I
vig,
guess
Josh. It's
they
called the
got the vig.
juice or the vig. It's the same thing. But
They
like,
vigged me.
so like you're a special edge case, at least with this of like, oh, like this is stupid. I'm not gonna do this.
I thought you were
But
calling me a special ed case for a second. I was very offended.
edge, I'm getting over a cold. I'm stuffy, I think. But it's one of the weird things where with the whole like loot box shit that's been around forever, I'm old enough where I'm strictly on the side of a lot of loot boxes for many games are hardcore predatory.
Oh, yeah, they're 100% just gambling and very
Yeah, so
predatory. Yeah.
I'm gonna turn this against the gambling now. I'm
Yeah.
gonna at least vocalize being on the right side, even though that I personally do the wrong thing. Like, do as I'm saying, not as I do. But the granted, like, gambling is a higher amount of money or different amounts of money or whatever, but it triggers the craziest endorphins in your brain that make you wanna do it more and more, and, like, legit, like, the addiction thing I know runs in my family. So, I'm
Yeah.
not using that as an excuse because I kept myself away from gambling for a long time because of that, but, like, I started playing like, I learned dice with my grandmother when I was little because she liked playing slot machines and stuff. And, like, it's I mean, I was it's the joke that it's my grandmother's fault, and she would laugh if I said it if she was still here. That's not really the point of this. But, like, when they let kids open the loot boxes that have the crazy animations and, like,
Yeah.
explosions and fireworks and confetti and stuff, like, it's fucking with people's brains so bad that, like, over the time that I've gambled, my basically the number that people use, we call them units, because that way you don't have to say, like, "I bet $1,000."
Yeah, it's not then
You
it's
say, "I bet"
abstracted. Yeah.
yeah, you say, "I bet 5 units." because then people can commiserate where, like, a unit to me might be $100 and a unit to someone else could be 10, but if we both bet, like, 5 times what we would bet, we're still effectively doing the same thing. But, like, all these things, like, I can say flat out over the past 4 or 5 years, my, base unit 5 years ago is not what it is today. And I recognize it's a problem, but it is what it is, and I can still live my life, so it's fine. But, like, I'm an adult, and I can process what I'm doing with, like, okay, the endorphins don't fire, my brain is hard anymore, I don't care about this unless there's a decent amount of, like, excitement on this.
Mhm.
And I really can't imagine being a child or younger and having that pushed in my brain so hard, because I feel like it's legit gonna fuck people up.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, like, the that's yeah, video game and loot boxes are awful for that for kids. But, like, Pokemon cards are the same thing. They're just physical, right? It's a randomized loot box that you're hoping to get a hit
Oh,
on.
yeah.
You're
I
hoping
mean, like,
yeah,
any gotcha thing
yeah,
is like that. It's not just loot boxes, it's any of the, like, free-to-play games where you buy decks, packs, crates, open orbs, like, any of those things, it's all the
yeah.
same general thing. And
So
at least,
these things have
like
been around for a while, but, like, now it's just so, like, visceral, and the barrier to entry is so tiny now to well, if it is, like, sports betting or if it is loot boxes, it's just like, I literally just have to put my credit card in, and then I can just click the button as many times as I want to, and
or you ask mom
then
or dad and say, "Hey,
yeah,
I want $5 for a Fortnite, I need to get some crates."
or even better, steal mom and dad's credit card so you can get
Yeah.
all the Robux that you need.
And of all the things, I don't actually think Roblox does it, which is funny, but, like, on this, like, the abstraction of the loot boxes was always crazy because not until the past couple years did most places even start putting, like, percentages or odds on pulling legendary things.
Yeah,
And it was
totally.
always just like, "Open the box, maybe we'll get something cool. This is what's in here." And it was always a crazy thing, and seeing the percentages you would think would make you go, "Okay, my odds are horrible, I'm probably not gonna get this." And that's at least better than it used to be a bigger thing, and I'm so far removed from CS:GO now that I don't really know if it works the same way. But CS:GO's weapon crates are literally you buy the crate or you get the crate. You have to buy the keys to open the crate, so now you're in twice on your bet. And the at least for a good gap, when you open the crate, it was a slot machine. So you could literally see everything in the crate, and you're hoping the little needle stops on the thing you want.
Yep.
And that's so, like, it's just crazy, like, gambling coded. And then everyone's just like, "Oh, this is awesome. Let's buy more crates. Let's do crate openings." Like, I have channels on my videos on my YouTube channel of like, "Hey, let's open some crates. I bought keys." And again, I was old enough where it was definitely disposable income back then. But it's literally just playing slot machines. It's playing slot machines for digital goods on Steam. So I had a cool, like, op that had, like, a little counter of kills on it and shit like that.
Yeah. It's exactly like XQC just, like, pulling the virtual slot machine over on Kick or whatever, right? Like, it's just that, just with the one more layer of abstraction on top to make it a video game and not make it just pure slots. And yeah, no, it's all scary and bad. And I certainly wasn't like, you know, wasn't signing up for this being like, "I'm totally in favor of this. Kids, go out and do your sports betting." It's one of those things where it's like, I have opinions about this, and I've never actually, like, touched it, and it's interesting to, like, interface with it in a small way to have a better understanding of it. And yeah, coming out being like, "Wow, I get why people are like, I get how people fall down this hole." But I'm hoping that I can just, like, hit it big on a bet and then take their money and never be back in their system. There we go.
I'm sure you'll be fine. Josh,
Tell me
conversationally, yesterday I
yeah,
made 48 bets.
48?
Yeah,
That's a lot. Are you betting on, like,
wherever I can.
just anything?
So today let's see. I probably won't be betting more while Josh and I are talking, and Josh has my attention the rest of the night. But today, conversationally, I made 25 bets, and that's
Why
low for me for a day, I feel like.
why do you keep saying conversationally?
I don't know, 'cause
Is that
it's
a
a conversation.
okay, okay. I thought it was, like, a betting term that I wasn't aware
Oh, no,
of.
like we're having a conversation and just conversationally, like, 'cause you're saying about, like, "Oh, I made a bet, like, we're doing this," and
Yeah.
I admitted I have a problem. So I just wanted to, like, point out, like, yesterday I made 48 bets and today I made 25. And my day's basically over today. So today's a slow day compared to other days.
Today's a slow day. I made 6 bets today because that's how many free ones that I got.
Perfect.
Um, yeah, and, after those are done, I probably won't look at it again, maybe, we'll see. Uh, Toby, what don't go out and bet, kids out there, don't go out and
Don't
sports
go out
bet.
and bet. Don't go
What
out
y'all sh
there and be like crazy Uncle Tobes who's telling you it's a nightmare life.
Yeah, don't do it. What you should do, though, is apparently start rapping and become the next Kendrick Lamar because that was awesome. How'd you feel about the halftime show?
I had a blast. All the drama that was tied to what was gonna happen, I told Josh separately last week. All I really wanted to see is the shit show associated to Kendrick and how popular Not Like Us is as a song, and how that would play out at the Super Bowl on a national scale.
Yeah.
And I think it worked for that sake, like, for that sake alone. Everything I hoped that could have happened, happened, and today everyone was figuring out, like, all the little, like, hidden messages that were also
Yeah,
insults.
that was
And
cool.
I have no real care or concern about the beef. Like, people can go be stupid to knock themselves out, I don't really care. I just think it's funny, like, what all the lyrics of Kendrick's most popular song entails, and how he hid many of those messages throughout his halftime show was funny too.
Yep. I really liked, yeah, I mean, all the, like, Uncle Sam stuff was, like, brilliant and really, really well done.
Uncle
The
Samuel L. Jackson,
Yeah, Uncle
father of
Uncle Samuel L.
America.
Jackson. The, like, I don't know, that, like, the pastiche of, like, the American flag, but made with Bloods and Crips while he's singing "Be Humble" was awesome. Like, there was just so much good stuff in that whole thing, and, like, a performance that had so much more teeth than, like, your average Super Bowl halftime show. Like, was it last year where it was just, like, nostalgia acts? They just packed it with, like, who was it? Usher last year, I think, was the halftime guy, and, like, nothing
And
against.
pregnant Rihanna was there floating on platforms, and
Right. Yeah, not anything against other people who performed at the halftime show, but, like, this one just felt a little bit more culturally important than some of them do.
yeah, like, as a
Um,
general statement, the people didn't just get mad that rap was a halftime show. Everyone said, like, there was no cursing, there was no direct call outs to things he feels is broken with the United States over here, and it's just all, like, use your brain a little bit or, like,
yeah.
effectively subtweeting things kinda deal, to use an internet term, and
It's crazy that, like, he is an artist who is much more like that, where it is he's very artistic and it's a lot of allusions to things, and like you said, like, you have to use your brain and interpret the art. And it's interesting and awesome that, like, an artist who wants you to interpret his art is also, like, the biggest artist in the world right now. Like, that he both is, like, very successful and also, like, cares about the art. Those 2 things usually don't go hand in hand. So it's kinda nice when they do. But yeah, that has been the talk of the internet today is the Kendrick performance, and the him smiling when he says Drake's name is, like, the new hot meme, which is very fun. Toby, last thing I want to tell you before we hop into talking about the podcast. Have you experienced yet the joy of AI assisted ordering at fast food restaurants?
no, the most I use AI for is to make heavily copyright infringed artwork to send to you and our friends,
Yep.
or I use it to make, what is effectively Toby coded music for my own entertainment with random lyrics.
Well, I experienced tonight for the first time, went through an Arby's, and I didn't interact with a human at the call box at all. It was an AI voice, and it asked what I wanted, and I talked to it. It asked me follow-up questions. I answered them. It read me back my order and asked if it was correct, and I said yes. And I didn't talk to an actual human being until I pulled up to the window. And I was thinking about it, and it went very smoothly. It all worked perfectly. There were no issues. And I was thinking, like, this is what AI is supposed to be. Like replacing the jobs that, like, no one really wants to do. Like, who wants to, like, talk to a human on a call box, like, as both the employee and the customer? Like, this is what AI is supposed to do instead of, like, making art for us. I like that we're actually using it for, like, a task that we can sort of leave the humans for the more interesting things. But
How how obvious was the AI voice? Like, you are a little wiser.
Uh-huh.
and internet technology knowledge and stuff like that. Like, like us, like, would one of our parents, as an example, drive through and go like, "Hey, this person sounds weird," or would they have probably driven through and been like, "Oh, okay, they took my order, cool," and just kind of went on with their day?
I think it'd be very easy for someone to not know because it sounded pretty much like a real person. The easiest way that I could tell that it wasn't was because the voice was crisp and clear, and it didn't sound like it was coming through like a horrible cashier headset and then funneled through a cheap speaker. It sounded, like it was, coming out of a computer and a nice speaker. So it was much easier to understand than your average, person in a drive-through window.
Gotcha.
But, like, I could totally see it fooling, like, my dad and him not knowing and him just thinking he got, like, a very formal sounding cashier.
The lady was very polite at Arby's when he got his 5 for 5 tonight. I
Yeah.
was very excited, came home and told you about it.
Yeah, he's probably coming home and be like, "Honey, they really got someone great working over there at the Arby's. Just got my order perfect and asked all the right questions." Yeah, it's that. So, yeah, that's the new hotness. We have it around us where there was the one at the Arby's tonight, which I went through, and my wife experienced it at the Taco Bell recently as well. So it is the new hotness. And at first I wasn't sure about it, but then I got to experience it tonight, and it was like, you know what? That actually went pretty well. I don't hate it.
Josh, how much did you pay for your AI Arby's order?
Like, how much was the Arby's that we got? It
Yeah.
was like $30, I think.
Josh, $30 seems like a lot for
It
only
does.
one night of enjoyment for only a few hours.
Well, I
But
mean, it was food. We got food. We ate food for there.
if you want food for your soul, which is
Yeah.
way better than, like, Arby's food
Well,
for so many reasons that we're not gonna talk about right now.
but
If you want cheap food for your soul, I'm gonna keep
uh-huh.
powering through you.
Okay.
I'm going right through.
I don't wanna be mean to Arby's, like, you need food still. Like, you need both food for your soul and actual food for your body or you'll die. That's all.
Calling
Go ahead.
calling Arby's actual food is still concerning, but we're gonna keep going. Josh, if you want food for your soul that will fill you up and make you feel full, give you your proper caloric intake for the day, for way less than $30, not controlled by AI, and
Uh-huh.
not paying the AI overlords to help take down small businesses. You can go right over to patreon.com/the comment writers, where you can pay only $3 a month instead of $30 for an hour for all the most filling, uh, high protein, low calorie content you could ever ask for.
You know what they say, Toby? You can give a man Arby's and he'll eat for a night, or you can sign a man up for patreon.com/the comment writers and he'll eat for a month
Or a lifetime.
or
No one's telling you when to stop paying for it, just
Yeah.
for the record.
No
Like,
one
it's not.
says to not stop, paying us. You should just keep paying it. Yeah.
Yeah, like you want a little snack, you woke up, you feel a little bit, you're not, like, hungry for a meal yet, but you want a snack. You go over there, you order a number 2, that's a Black Sun watch along, and you're good for, like, 10 hours. You can learn all about the terrifying reality of mutant living Japan, I guess we'll call it.
Mhm.
The gaijins, I believe they were.
Yep.
How
And
those
then,
for
Toby, if you go through the Arby's and you talk to an AI person and you're yearning for the interaction of a real human being, you can head on over to our Discord, which you also get access to via our Patreon, and you can talk to real live human beings in our Discord who are either you and I or other people that paid us $3 a month to be in there.
their souls are also hungry for continental proteins and carbs.
Yeah, exactly. So just go in there and be like an atom and bump around and create life in our Discord via our Patreon, patreon.com/the comment writers.
$3 a month. What a value. It's
What
like
a value.
it's like the dollar menu value menus places, whatever the phrasing is now. Those prices keep going up.
It's like they
Somehow
used
they're a
to be.
value menu, but it's no longer a value. But
Yeah.
our value menu is the most valorific of all time.
Yeah, and some of those words were real. Yeah.
Almost all of them.
So we're gonna talk about Kamen Rider Gavv today. Specifically, episode 22 of Kamen Rider Gavv. And this was a very character-driven episode. I really liked this episode a lot. But I don't know if we'll have a ton to say about it since it was so focused on, like, conversations with between people. But we'll dive in here.
All you
Uh,
have to know, preamble for this episode, all you have to know is Sachika is the best girl of all time in any media, and anyone who ever would betray her deserves to be taken to an Arby's and turned into a roast beef sandwich.
dude, she truly let's just talk about her in
But
this
yeah,
episode.
let's go all Sachika because she was all the best moments. Anything we've ever said about her in the past seemed accurate as hell of like the
Yeah.
perfect mom, best friend vibes of she does not care. She just loves her little Delicio boy.
Yeah, yeah. So last time we got the scene where Hanto rushed in and told her basically like, "Shoulders that eats people. You gotta get away from him. Don't let him in." And he leaves, and she's of course shocked. And we're like, "Oh no, she's gonna hate Shoma. It's gonna be this whole big thing." And then in this episode, we find out first she kicks Hanto out, and she's mad at him because he told her Shoma's secret. And basically, her stance is like, "Listen, I know the Shoma that I know, and if he's not telling me something, it's for a good reason, and I'm gonna trust him because I know that he's a kind man who loves snacks, and there's probably more to the story, and I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt." And that was the cutest, awesomest character thing ever for her. I loved that.
That to me, that was the second best cute character thing of her from this episode slash like her whole arc as a character. Her better one comes a little bit later.
Was it the
But
phone call?
yeah. So
Yeah.
and not even like not even did she like yell at Hanto. She slammed the door on him, locked him out. And then when he tried to come in the building, that's when she was like, "Fuck you, you're not coming in. That's not the person that he is," and
Yeah.
slammed the door on him. And I was
It's
like,
good.
"Hell yeah!" Like she's the realest one of them all.
She really is, yeah. Like, man, what a freaking ride or die for Shoma. That's so good. And then, yeah, she talks to him on the phone later and presents it as like, "Hey, there's somebody running around who looks like you, so be careful that you're not, you're not mistaken for him." And he obviously is like, "Wait, you believe me? Like, you you
Like,
don't think
I'm
that
not even in
that's
the
me?"
building. You're not screaming at me like everyone else has been. You're not doing whatever.
Yeah, and she literally tells him basically like you always know you can come home, right? Like, she like does the parent thing on him of like, doesn't matter how much you've messed up, you can always talk to me, you can always come home. And like, oh my God, I wanted to cry when I watched that. It was so
Yeah.
sweet.
So it might have been a sub thing, depending on which one you watch. I definitely grabbed the wrong group this time compared to the other ones I usually watch.
Uh-huh.
But so her quote, because I wrote it down this time for that part was, she said, "If there's something you want to tell me, I'll listen in a heartbeat. It's all okay." And like, there's a pause, and then she says, like you said, it was basically like, "I just want you to come home and be safe. So
Yeah.
like, whenever you want to come home, like you can come home. Don't worry about blah blah blah." But it wasn't like it was the purest response to like even last week we said she talks to him oddly, and a long time ago one of us, if not both of us, predicted like because Hanto's acting so weird about it, Sachika's response is just going to be one day, "Oh no, I knew the whole time. Don't worry about it. Like let's just go. I don't care. We're just gonna move past this. No big deal." And she basically got to do that today without actually like having to just be blunt and blatant and not as, I guess
Yeah.
we'll call it human, and being like, "No, I know you're a weird Gav guy. Like you're, I understand." All she said was she worded it in the right way, where your best friend is telling you that he knows you need help, but he knows you're afraid to ask for help.
Yep.
So she lightly worded it as, "If shit's going on, you know you can tell me, and even if you don't want to tell me yet, that's okay. But I still just want you to come back here. Like, just make sure you get home, and this is not a life changer. This is not a big deal. Just get home first and worry about everything afterwards."
Yeah. I think that whole conversation hit me very heavily as well for like the parent aspect of it. She's being very, very parently here. And tonight, just tonight, Toby, my daughter who is 5 was making herself very sad about a hypothetical that she was inventing where she goes off to college and she doesn't see us every day, but she misses us a lot and she really wants to come home on Mother's Day and she can't. And she's like almost crying in the back seat of the car. So like when I got her out of the car, I had to tell her sweet.
It's funny she said that because when my anxiety problems started happening while I was in college, I distinctly remember having a conversation with someone where I was felt in a weird place because I had a fear that I would like being away at college more than going back home. And because
Yeah.
my brain goes down shitty paths constantly, I was like, but what if I never want to go home again? Like, what if I like it too much here? Like, that seems weird to me to not want to go home, but I like it here and I don't know what to do about this. And that's a weird morality vibe. and,
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
way younger than I was when she was having this problem. So crazy.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna have to start the therapy sooner or later, I think. Just it's probably good for any kid, I would imagine, but yeah, she can get herself into, like, the feels on hypotheticals like this already for sure. I see it coming. I loved the Sachika, conversation here, but I also really loved that, like, all the characters like, we didn't have to, like, prove that Shoma wasn't Dark Shoma to anyone, even to Hanto. They all just sort of like realized that like Shoma's a good person and he's shown them that he's a good person. So we're just going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's a good person and there's more to the story. And
Well,
like
Ponto was a little slower on that uptick.
he was a
I
lot
don't know
slower.
that he like over the past 2 or 3 episodes, he's done a lot of mental gymnastics with himself
Yes.
of, "No, I'm mad at him. No, but I know he's good. But then why'd he do this? No, I'm mad at him." And, like, he at least he's not as good of a friend as Sachika is for sure.
No,
But
Sachika's perfect. So,
exactly. But yeah,
um,
I mean, but the same vibe. This whole episode, at least with his chunk of his dealings with Shoma, was eventually like because Sachika yelled at him and basically was like, "Hey, asshole! Like you've known this dude forever. He always has both of our backs. I don't know why you just think this is him right away."
yeah,
And even when like when they went through, they both went on the app, the Twitter of Monster Attacks, or at least she did, and she saw Dark Shoma
yeah,
with his purple Gavv sticking out, and she even like looked at it weird in a way of like I think that's when she even knew it was Shoma, or like that Shoma was whatever we're gonna call the monsters here, like in her idea. But like she looked at it, it was like a weird vibe of like, oh, I see my friend's private stomach thing, and like it was like just the most understanding thing of like, okay, I guess maybe he has one too. I don't know. He eats candy like a weirdo. This kind of checks out.
exactly. Yeah. I like the little scene where Hanto like runs up on Shoma. And it's not a big thing. I like that it's not a huge thing. It's like he's not like, "Oh my god, I finally found you." He just, like, is there and he's like, "Hey, sorry." Like, and then they go off and talk, but I liked the, like, interest the first thing is just, like, them just sort of, like, running into each other and both just being like, "Hey, I'm so sorry about all this that's been happening."
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So they went for like a little. It almost looked like an aquarium kind of place or like a museum. They were kind of chilling. And Shoma gets, like, full, like, bows, "I'm so sorry," like, "Obviously,
yeah,
there's a lot of this, I should have told you," and all this other nonsense. And, like, Hunt already had all of his 3 episodes of processing, so he was already there. And then he bows as well, and he's like, "I'm so sorry." And he gets all of his I guess all of his thoughts could finally be put into words now, where it was like, "No, I get why you always did all the things you did now. Like, I
yeah.
was telling you I wanted to kill everyone that was like you, so of course it makes sense to me now that I know that you're kind of a monster person, like, yeah, I can see why you were afraid to tell me that you were a Granute because I said I wanted to kill all Granutes like 7 times, and yes, you've helped me my entire life. The first day I met you, I saw you were a good guy and you saved all the people that were wrapped up and encased in the candy wrapper things, like, yeah, I was a bad friend too." And they're both just like it was nice to just kinda let it go because
Yeah,
obviously they didn't really talk since this all started about both their emotions. So they hashed it out.
they hashed it out. And then, of course, Shoma gets to do the full story to Hanto now finally, explaining about his mother and all that stuff, and it wasn't really much new information for the audience, really, for the most part. But like, obviously, it's all new info for Hanto. So I like that they even gave us a little recap of things we'd sort of figured out along the way, and they had Shoma like directly explain it, which was very very cathartic for the characters, which was nice. But yeah, even with Vram, we had him very quickly come to the realization that that isn't really Shoma because he compares Gavs, right? He knows the Gav is a physical part of their being, and he sees the dark black Gavv, and he's like, "Oh, well, that's
Purple, it's
clearly not
purple.
purple Gavv." He's like, that's not Shouma." Okay.
Yeah, because he's like, because
Um,
like, because he even said, like, they always call him Red Gav. And
yeah.
like, it was like, I've seen the family try to kill him, and they call him Little Red Gav when they try to kill him. And this guy has a purple Gav, so it's obviously not my friend. Like, his 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 understanding of the situation is a little bit easier to process, obviously, because he's a little
Yeah.
more tied into that situation.
I just love that, yeah, we didn't ever have anyone have to go like, "Wait, you're here and they're there," and that was their point of, like, trusting Shoma. I just really love that, yeah, Hanto and Sachika just came to a place of trust in a nice way. I guess the other thing that happens there, speaking of Ram, is once he realizes sort of what's going on, he realizes that maybe Nielv could be a culprit, and he goes to try to track Nielv down by going to meet Suga, which, of course, as we know, Suga is the real culprit here, the real creator of this Dark Gavv. And we get some like further proof that he is the creator of the Dark Gavv, because Dark Gavv is like eating food, and then later Shoma's like cleaning up that food, and it's very clear. Um, but VRam is like, he's on the case, trying to figure Suga out at this point. He's asking him very pointed questions about. So I hope VRam finally gets to like shut him down. That's the goal here.
Yeah, like, I feel like even if they obviously, they're gonna have to kill Dark Shoma. If they didn't this week, it was kinda hard to tell as part of the ending. I feel like Vram and Suga are going to conclude the Suga doing work arc more so than I think, like, Shoma and Hanto will go against Suga to, like, close that piece of the story.
Yeah. That'll be interesting though. If we do close off the Suga piece of the story, like how do we get Valen power ups and stuff at that point? I don't know. Like I feel like Suga's a little bit of like a important character for Valen, but maybe not. I don't know. I guess we can just like use Gochiza that come out of Shoma still, like we've been doing.
Yeah, and now Dark Shoma has or had, like, 2 or 3 different brand new Gochizas now as well. So, I mean,
Oh
Shoma keeps
yeah.
pumping them out, and Shoma like, actual Shoma keeps pumping them out and keeps finding new food. Like, we got macaroon,
Yeah, finally.
Gochiza today and stuff. Excuse me.
We were very upset last time, or at least I was, that he ate a macaron and didn't create a Gochizo.
It's
And we
because he
get a
was constipated.
he was
He couldn't
constipated.
poop out the Gochizos.
That's amazing. What a hilarious and perfect explanation. It's like, "Oh, yeah, your Gochizo's constipated." And then it can happen because you're sad or is something's on your mind.
Yeah, and, like, obviously, like, we're putting into a very blatant poop terms when obviously it's not completely presented that way in the show. But, like, sh real Shoma, after he passed out, was found by Uncle Dente.
Yeah.
He took him back, basically said, like, the way he worded it to compare it to the constipation thing, he was like, "Yeah, you were passed out, and you were so blocked up that all the good cheeses were stuck in you and it couldn't come out." He's like, "I had to even reach up in your gab or something to pull them out, they were so stuck." And if you ever get, like, hardcore constipated, like, stuff's going up the back to get it to come out. So it's, like, such a adult hidden way of talking about, like, poop and constipation, or at least if kids watch the show, it wasn't gross, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Yeah. But it is pretty gross though. Real
You're like,
really, yeah.
yeah, yes, your uncle coming to you and saying, like, "Hey, you had something stuck in your body, so I really did, like, jam my hand up there. It's not really there."
Yeah. It's not and old Uncle Dente can't turn human, so he had to just put on his best disguise, which was some real, like, boom booms your ass shit, which I loved.
It was basically like Loganine's old, like, hat, just on top of the big, giant, weird Uncle Dente body.
He's got his big stupid feet, he's wearing pants, he's got a mask on that, like, barely covers his big giant face. It was great. It was much needed, like, humor for this episode, so 'cause it was a pretty otherwise pretty, like, emotional episode. It was funny to see dressed up Dente. Um, and then, of course, yeah, we do have the little fight, Toby, where we do interact a little bit, with the Dark Shoma. You talked about not really knowing whether he was, like, alive or dead at the end because there's sort of a big explosion, and then he kinda disappears after they kinda all do their big attacks on each other. I think he's still around. I think he's probably still gonna, be a going threat. But we get to like see him talk for the most part more than we had before, and he declares himself to be Bitter Gavv for the first time. Uh, and he wants to be the world's ultimate organism is
Yeah.
what his goal is.
I
Um,
forget which one of the 2 of them it was, but either him or Suga, or both, have both alluded to, like, "I might be this form, but there's definitely more powerful forms coming," because that's
yeah,
why, like, Suga was gathering trash to clean up after Dark Shuma's meals. That's like, he hid it from Log 9 when he came in 'cause he was nervous, and right before Dark Shoma possibly exploded, he could like, they had the conversation of, like, "Oh, like, even if you guys kill me, like, don't worry, like, it's not gonna be that big of a deal to me." So it definitely seems like now that there's one Dark Shoma, we can just keep cloning him or making second versions. Like The
yeah.
Incredibles, when Syndrome has, like, Big Rolly Monster 1, and it can kill a couple of superheroes, and then it dies. Then he makes Rev 2 and Rev 3 and Rev 4. It just keeps stacking on itself. So I feel like Dark Shoma can just be stacked with new versions if possible, or if
I just
need be, I guess.
I just want to see an army of Dark Shomas.
It's also possible. If he sheds a lot, God only knows what will happen.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Do you think that we'll get so he's generating these Gochizo, like the sparking gummies and stuff. Do you think the good guys will end up using those, or you think those are like dedicated bad guy gummies?
I think someone's obviously it's a Shoma costume. I guess we'll call it more so than like a Valen one.
Yeah,
I
very true.
feel like they're setting up to have a moment at least where regular Shoma dehensions gets beat up, whatever. And it would be an interesting kind of arc to make him have to use the dark Gochizos to start doing things.
Ooh, it
And
would,
maybe
yeah.
like have him like actually turn dark Shoma-ish versus the fake one. Or I mean like VRam obviously has his jellyfish heart killing fancy version now. But I
Which
mean
he
he
used again this time. He used it briefly.
yeah, it didn't seem to hurt him this time. But now I
Yeah.
know that it wraps around his heart and does things. But I mean same vibe, like he could use one. They could keep having different specific dark Shomas. Or like if this one was the bitter one because of the first food. Like there was a new dark candy from eating the wings, I think it was, which I was stoked about. Dark Shoma was tossing down some wings.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But like he had a second new Gochizo come out of him today. So I feel like if he can keep making new dark Gochizos, and they're gonna tie like dark Shoma's henshin form to each specific Gochizo that comes out of him. Like this could be a bitter, dark Gavv, Shoma, whatever. And the next one could be like X other negative flavor profile, dark Shoma. And we could do it that way. Have it like escalate that way to have new versions of the same problem kind of thing.
Oh, yeah, I want sour Gav. That's what I want
So there
next.
you go.
And then, of course, the last, I think, big thing in the episode, Toby, we have the big fight, all the characters dehension after the big kind of boom explosion, and we find Shoma dangling off of kind of a railing over a cliff, sort of over a big hole. Hanto grabs him by the arm, is going to pull him up, and that process, that act of kind of getting grabbed by Hanto, triggers a memory. And Shoma remembers once again Hanto's mother, and he had that memory before, of course, when he was storming the stomach headquarters. So this time, again, brand new Shoma, brand new relationship with Hanto. He tells him instantly, which I loved.
Yeah, like it definitely I thought they were gonna cliffhanger the episode like 15 seconds before the conversation, or he was
Yeah.
gonna like be more coy about no, like it's Hanto's mom. I need to watch what I say. But it was crazy where like he kind of looked at him and right away was like, "Yeah, I need to tell you more things about me." And I guess
Yeah.
now that he has the safety or freedom of like, "No, Hanto's my friend. We're cool." Like I can just tell him things now. He was still like reluctant to do so. But he got there and was like, "Hey man, I think I know your mom, or I've seen your
Yeah.
mom before, or if I talked to your mom or something."
Yeah, so that'll be really fun to explore that whole aspect and figure out how Hanto's mom is involved in all this. But yeah, I love their cute little relationship now. I like that they tell each other things. It's adorable.
I was actually waiting for Shoma to be like, "I think I killed your mom." Like,
Yeah,
that's it's obviously, like, the wildest timeline. I know they just fixed their relationship, but just the timing of it seemed too perfect. Where, like, he saw the mom and, like, the falling over the rail, cliff, whatever, reminded him of Hanto's mom, and I was just waiting for, "Hey, man, like, I was there, or I did something, or I didn't save her, like, I saw it happen, I didn't stop it," or, like, I feel like there's they could easily do one more tie to that sort of angle of, "I was there, I couldn't stop it, I'm sorry, but, like, I need you to know that I was there, and I regret it," and God knows what else.
yeah, very fun. Toby, let's jump over to emails. Cast@commonwritersucks.com is the email address. We've got a few different emails this week, but we're gonna save at least one of them for another venue. Our friend Shade wrote in with some thoughts on Boon Boomjer, so we might read that one after we watch the last episode of Boon Boomjer for the Patreon. So if you're interested, sign up for the Patreon, check that out. But Shade also wrote in to talk about this week's Gav. So we'll jump into that email. Shade says, "This is the fastest divorce arc I've ever seen." Hello, everyone. We're back on again this week for some heated drama between men. A lot of things happened last week, so let's get on with some of them. Shade tells us we got the annual Cho Ayu Sai concert. Lots of exciting things happening there. He links to the whole show. It says it's probably, or it says here are some highlights. Lakia got to try on his old outfit from back in the day, his old Sentai outfit. So he put that back on for the show. We got to hear the live opening for Gozyuger. Toby, it's called Winner Gozyuger. And it's by a group called Wieners.
Yeah.
Shade says, yes, that is their name. Please read that carefully. It is Wieners. Wienners. Wieners. So everyone get excited for the Wieners to come. Shade says, Toby. Toby, you'll like this. Back On performed their song for Kamen Rider Gotchard Graduations, the movie, called Graduations. So some new Back On music if you want to go look that up.
Not only that, speaking of back on, the
Uh-huh.
other day, Lachesis, the actress Human, posted another one of the videos of I think it was her singing to a back on song,
Nice.
and I didn't realize it was an older maybe like an older, newer song or like from some sort of Gotchard Rainbow movie thing, but I think she's, like, super tied into back on now,
Oh, she's like,
if I'm reading the situation, like, correctly. So I
you
think
think she's
that's
like a
pretty cool.
member? Like an honorary member?
Or at least, like, they know she sings, so she got to do, like, an actual, like, song with them too or something.
That's
It's
cool.
hard to read Japanese still, so I'm not
Wow.
100% sure of what that conversation was, but
You've been Duolingoing for some time now. I feel like you should be able to read Japanese at this
yep,
point.
my wallet is ugly. I would like 3 bento sets, please. I'm almost
Uh,
there.
I, I have started I need to add you actually on Duolingo because I have started to. I today am on my 14th day streak back on it for Japanese after not touching it for like over a year. So
Did
I
you
just
start
started over
you just went completely all the way back to the beginning?
completely all the way back to the beginning. Yeah,
Like,
I
did you,
remembered
like
next to nothing.
oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Things are coming back to me now that I'm in it, but like characters and stuff, I couldn't really remember any of those.
Gotcha.
But it's been fun. It's a nice little like take a few minutes during the day and do your Duolingo. Shay tells us that that movie is out, Gotchard Graduations, but not streaming yet. Word on the streets, it's all right.
As these things usually are.
Yep.
It's a real thing.
Shoma, Hanto, and Sachika performed their own character songs on stage. Shade links actually the songs for us here to listen to, but Shoma's is called Happy Note. Hanto's is called Truth Hunter, very appropriate. And Sachika's song is called Happy Parade. That's very cute. Shade thinks that Sachika's song sounds like something Hatsune Miku would sing.
Oh, no.
So it sounds like a Vocaloid, I guess. Also, I guess at this event, Hanto accidentally used the Japanese equivalent of the word "cuck" live on stage,
That's
which
funny.
is pretty good. Yep. And also, Shade says, remember how the Gozyugers are the 50th anniversary Sentai, but they themselves are, in fact, the 49th Sentai series. Well, some of the other anniversary peers would like some word on that. So I guess it's a bunch of the anniversary Sentai together having a Kamen Rider cross Super Sentai anniversary debate. So that looks pretty good. Apparently, it's all been subbed as well. So if anyone wants to watch that, that's out there. Um, yeah, very good. I guess all the actors came back for it. So like Decade and stuff was there. Came back for the voice part of that, and of course a suit actor in the suit. Gio's not invited because he tried to blow up Toei or something, is what Shade says. I don't know if that's actually part of the lore at this point. That makes sense. Shade also sharing some things from the producer's blog for this week. A quote from the blog: Sachika is a thoughtful and kind person who cares for Shoma without any preconceptions. I was so impressed by Miyabi-san's acting, which showed a different side to her usual cheerfulness. Um, apparently, in real life, she's a quite reserved person, Toby.
That's
So she's
interesting. She
a very good
plays
actress.
yeah, she plays bubbly well.
She does. She really does. Yeah. When the series first aired, some people may have been surprised to see a gal type heroine in the Reiwa era, but this tolerant kindness may be the true essence of a new generation gal heroine. Um,
What
Also in the
what
producer's blog.
what
Go
wait,
ahead. Yeah.
like, why is she different than, like, Rin then or any of them? What is making her read different in this new Gal Reiwa something?
Yeah, I don't really understand that translation entirely, to be honest with you.
Tell us
I
more.
don't really know what gal type means other than, you know, like a woman. But maybe that means something a bit more specific in the original Japanese. I'm not sure.
Gotcha. 'Cause I mean, like, I guess she's more like bubbly, outgoing female pal type person than like, Kudo was or Neon was, I guess, but, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think she seems that much different for, like, the the counterpart, partner, coworker to the main Kamen Rider, at least in my
I agree.
opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I think like pre becoming a writer herself, she's very similar to Kudo, sort of, right? Like kind of an independent, strong woman who sort of does her own thing and, has and will look at the main writer man and kind of like roll her eyes or like, ah, he's just a silly goose over there. It's very similar vibes, yeah. The producer's blog next talks about the scene between Shoma and Hanto. It was apparently a 3-page section of the script, which is pretty long. The script said it took place in quote a place with a beautiful view.
Yeah,
So
that's where it was. It was
that's where it
very
was,
nice
yeah.
though.
They scouted locations, carefully selected a high floor of a building with a panoramic view of the city. The director Tazaki, who has served as the pilot director for many Rider and Sentai teams, a director who gives the cast their acting from scratch, was able to help the pair's acting grow. It was a serious scene with changing emotions, but the director explained it precisely. And then some pictures that Shade sends along, and then they talk a little bit more about Dark Shouma. He's he's very good at eating deliciously, so this time he had to challenge himself to eat in a wild way. But apparently he had fun playing Dark Shoma. He was able to do a lot of things he doesn't normally do, so it was quote more lively than usual.
He seems, I guess from his personality type, he still seems like him. Like, he definitely made, like, more, like, crazy faces when he was hossing down wings and stuff. I was like, "Oh, this is good." But, like, I don't know, it's still Shoma to me either way, I guess, is the best way to put it. I don't know.
It is. He does lower his voice though. He talks a little bit like this, which is great. When we got a little bit more of a speaking role from Dark Shoma, it was like, oh yeah, he's really dropping that voice down as best he can. And apparently Shoma's actor was very nervous. about the dangling from the
The
balcony
railing.
scene. Yeah, I was nervous. It says, but he was hanging from a wire. So there's a picture of him hanging from the wire, of course, for safety. But they say that he bravely took part in the in the shoot.
I mean, not even with that though, like, what he dropped something, and it reminded him of something falling in the water with Hanto's mom. And maybe I misread what he was hanging over, but it seemed like he was hanging over water too. And, like, if he would've fallen, it would've been okay.
Yeah, I
But
think. Yeah, I don't know if we ever got a good view of it, but it seemed like it was going to be water. I don't know. Very strange. But anyway, thank you very much, Shade, for the email and for the details from the producer's blog. That is going to wrap up our email section for the week. Once again, cast@commonwritersucks.com for the email address. Send those along, whatever you want to share with us. We'd love to hear from you and your thoughts. And Toby, I think that's going to bring us to the end of our episode. Any other final thoughts on Gavv here?
I'm glad everyone's friends the way they should be.
Me
And
too.
Sachika has sealed herself as one of the best characters with the all the best answers. And no, I like, it's basically like, no, I know you're a weirdo, but I don't care.
Yep,
And that's the way I feel like a lot of my friends treat me. So it felt good.
exactly. And as a quick programming note, we will not have a new episode next week. I will be traveling, so we won't be able to record. But the week after, you can expect us to be back in full force. We'll have a double episode to catch up on Gavv at that point. So we do hope that you tune back in then, and we hope you can make it through a week without the Kamen Riders. All right, where can the people find you on the internet, Toby?
On Twitter, it's Life of Tobes. On YouTube, it's Tobes Plays. And on Retro Achievements, it's Tobes Plays as well.
You can find me on Blue Sky at meek.lol. You can find the show on Blue Sky at commonwritersucks.com. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/prettydece is where you can find the Kamen Riders, or just search for the Kamen Riders on YouTube and you'll find us. So yeah, give us a subscribe over there. Give us a subscribe wherever you might get your podcasts. And of course, remember to like and review, and all those things are always very helpful to us. It helps us rise up in the rankings, and we know people definitely find us by searching on Spotify. So the more you like it and the more you review it, the higher we'll be up in those rankings, and people might find us more, which is always very helpful. So that is going to wrap it up for us. We'll be back next time to talk about episode 23. We hope you join us for that. But until then, have a great week, everybody. Peace.